Top 10. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Guys, today we're doing another top 10, and it's going to be the top 10 characters you can solo teams with in 3v3. I guess 5v5 too, theoretically, but I'm here with my friend Calvin Awesome. The link to his YouTube channel is going to be on the bottom. He is a member of the Gambit Alliance, and he never ever loses. In fact, he's made several top spots, several Kyber Premier Champions, a few different times, two or three top tens in Division 1. He is the real deal. Go check him out. You'll be doing yourself a disservice by not watching him on YouTube and or Twitch. Both of those will be linked. And he's been quiet for a really long time now. So, Calvin, how are you today?
I'm doing really, really well, Zareth. Thank you for having me on. And yes, I do check out the YouTube. I'm doing some kind of GAC strategy videos there right now. I think I actually have a new one coming out today or tomorrow, depending on when this gets posted. But yes, I'm also excited about to talk about these characters because this is now a super relevant thing with the amount of teams getting expanded for 3v3.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's why I wanted to do this, because everyone needs more teams, or maybe not everyone, but a lot of people need more teams. But we don't always have new teams. But we do have certain characters that can kind of just act as their own team in a way.
Oh yeah.
So let's start. We're gonna go from we have two different kind of lists, two five person lists. So the thing about this is, me and Calvin both sat down and came up with our lists, and they were like almost identical. We only disagreed on two of them, and actually that like we don't necessarily disagree on the others. It was just they were close, but the five there were five that were extremely obvious. So we'll run through those, and then we start getting in the weeds a little bit. It gets fun. That's where the fun begins. So the first one that is the obvious ever is going to be Nest.
Yes. May I, Zareth?
Yeah, just take it away, man. She's
okay.
I'll just spin her character while you're doing it.
Nest is okay. So this is one of my favorite characters of all time, and she is absolutely amazing for soloing things. For those of you who don't know, basically the gist of her kit is whenever she gets hit by an attack, she starts to build a protection up shell. And why is that great for soloing? Because when all three of the enemies are hitting her at the same time, she eventually just becomes invincible until she takes her next turn. You combine that with her stack and crit damage, she eventually just counters everyone to death. And in 5v5, she kind of gets a little bit less versatile because there's a lot of characters that have a kit specifically made to knock her out. However, when you go over to 3v3, a lot of those key characters start getting taken out of teams, and with what's left, Nest just absolutely destroys them. Shakti is a great example. Normally the team might have Rex in 5v5, 3v3 if it doesn't. Nest gets to take it down by herself.
Yeah, man. She's so good. I love that she can daze if she wants. Like, she's so tactical too. Like,
yeah.
You can counter with her. You can stun sometimes if you know when to stun. Like against Padme, for instance. Sometimes that stun is foolish because you can't actually do a crit with it.
No, yeah, it's very, very important to know that.
But at a basic level, I remember when I was talking to Clash about how to use her way back in the day. I was like, okay, Relic 7 Nest, love her. How do I kill this Padme team? And he's like, do you know when you can crit and when you don't? And I'm like, no, not really. He's like, okay. Maybe. So yeah, instead of explaining it to me, he was just like, okay, here are just the like dummy instructions. And then I went out.
How to nest.
Right. Well, yeah, he was just like, just do basics until Anakin's dead, and then do basics till Padme's dead, and then win. I was like, so don't do my AoE, don't do the big hit. He's like, if you don't know about it, then you can't afford it. I'm like, oh, all right, Clash. Yes, Clash. And then I went fourth. I issued fourth and prospered. So, yeah, amazing character, and really, I mean, there's so many other uses for her, but we don't. That doesn't fall into the purview here. So, next up, we've got the one I never in my whole life ever use, and that is Malk. But everyone else in the whole world does, and it's established that he's good. Calvin, why is he good? Do you use him solo?
I use him from time to time. Normally, I think I do what you do, where you said Darth Revan, Bastard, Sean Fallon, and Malk on defense because it's just a really really good team in threes. But I use him every now and then, and one of the reasons why he's good is because what will happen is the enemy team will come with a lot of burst damage, and it'll start to knock his health down. He'll immediately get a life drain, and sometimes he'll get two or three really really close together. And what ends up happening is the enemy team can't recover health fast enough, and all of a sudden he's life drained someone three times and now he's got stupid high stats from all of his bonuses. The enemy team's already lost a character, and then he just gets to go to town and even end with 56 banners because he has no protection to recover, so it automatically counts full protection if he has full health.
That's true. You got to be careful with him though, because so for instance, even
They
if
can
you're
get sketchy.
well, it can get sketchy. 3v3 less so. Sometimes.
True.
Gosh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just mesmerized. I twisted the character around, and he's got half of a cape. Just like he has half of a face, he also has half of a cape.
Yeah, his design is out there.
And then he's got a loincloth, like a really optimistic one. So, anyways,
It's a great design.
it's pretty fun. I've never looked this close at his profile before, but anyways, you got to be careful with him. He can time out against the wrong team. Like, so one thing that
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people say that, like, oh, dude, all I have to do, I can just spell and stun the brute alpha or the brute against Geos. That idiot didn't even put spy in here. I can just take Malk. And then they just time out because you just never ever actually are able to get through the brute.
No, yeah, there are a few teams you have to be careful, like with that, where you can't get around the tank. Another good example would be Night Sisters with Zombie. Like you're not going to get Zombie down enough to be able to take out the rest of the team. She's going to keep coming back. She's going to get increasing speed. You're going to get stun locked. It's not going to end well.
Right. Right. Unless it's you, and then you can pull off some magic. But you know, you probably wouldn't do it though. You wouldn't put yourself in that situation. All right. Next up, and I wouldn't say that this is necessarily the absolutely best third choice, guys. The top five are just the top five. So, in no particular order, except for maybe Nest is number one. But next up is Jedi Knight Luke, who is an army unto himself, especially in 3v3. I mean, I've seen him in 5v5 just manhandle entire squads on his own. It gets a little more dicey. You have to be careful because if the other team has like exposes readily at hand, or like, I don't know, healing immunity, buff immunity, they're not buff immunity, ability block, there can be issues, but he's got a couple really good tools in his arsenal as well.
Yeah, you just have to look at the enemy comp that you're going against. In 3v3, one of the things that I love to solo with him are crew teams, because there's nothing more satisfying than seeing crew go to use a 2-turn stun on the only option, which is a character that can't even be stunned. You do have to be careful with certain debuffs. Daze can ruin you. Ability block can ruin you. He's got to be able to cycle through those to be able to counter and get his protection back. But he has a lot of viability against teams that are even geared well.
Yeah, I think the one that I've always found the most interesting that he struggles against is like resistance teams with Jedi training Rey.
Ooh, yeah.
Because he can't get rid of her foresight, and if they speed equalize, like I guess he eventually can kind of lap her, but if he
They
can't
get a lot of
just one-shot
TM
her.
though. That's one of the bigger problems. They don't JTR herself doesn't rely enough on the speed. It's not that big of a hindrance once you zap it.
Right. So yeah, that can be an issue for that team. Yeah, you got to be careful. Just like I guess one caveat I should say is like trying to solo teams. The characters we're talking about aren't necessarily just characters you can just like not even look at the other team and just like march in and claim your 56. You're just 56. Like it's you gotta do a little bit of thinking about mechanics, because I feel like one of the problems in this game that I see, and it's actually pretty entertaining when I see other streamers do it. So I usually don't try to discourage it, but I see them just march in. They're like, dude, I can use this guy to kill this squad. So easy. Like, watch this. And then they get stun locked and die. And I'm like, that was one of the most enjoyable things I've experienced today. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. No, and one of the things you really do have to pay attention to both the mods and the kits to the characters you're using here, because essentially what you're doing with every single one of these solos is you are manipulating some type of mechanic in a way that benefits you. We talked about that with Malk, about gaining his bonus turns. We talked about with Jedi Knight Luke and reducing the speed, nest and building protection up. There's a reason why all these work, and if the team you're using it against has a way around that type of manipulation, you lose.
Right. Well, and that's just it. Like, you need to find your weak points, your kryptonite. So, yeah. Jedi Knight Luke, though, he'll do you good. All right, next up is Jedi Knight Luke's dad, General Skywalker. And this one, I feel like he is the one I see who gets misplayed on the solos way too often.
100%. 100%. Yeah. This General Skywalker, you can normally take out a wide variety of teams, both in 3v3 and 5v5, when he has a gear advantage. I've seen a lot of people try to take him against stuff like a boss team that's at the same level. They get Contract Mando zaps him, or even like a Mother Talzin team with the Spirit where he gets Plague and then stun locked. He'll beat almost anything around the gear 12 margin, but you have to be really careful when taking him against entire teams that are entirely relicked.
Yeah. So the thing I see people get stuck on a lot is his lead is cool because it denies revives. So people are like, oh man, all I have to do is just one shot these Night Sisters. Mm-hmm. And they'll think of it, they'll talk themselves into it. They're like, how many times have I seen this happen where he just marches in and kills like gear 9 Night Sisters and just destroys them with his AoE. They're like, he has an AoE, like what can go wrong? And then they have Oldaka, and Oldaka's like, actually, I have so much more health than you could one shot. He's like, but I'm Relic 8, and she's like, but I have so much health. So yeah, it's a little awkward. This is the one. Sometimes I'll voice it in a chat, and then they'll be like, no, it works, and then I have to struggle hard not to just gloat so hard.
No, it's one you have to be wise about. Again, I would, like you're saying, Zareth, about the Gear 9 Nice. This is one that you have to emphasize, I think, about gear level. Because really, there's no mechanic that makes Gas just magically good. It's just the fact that he hits really stinking hard. And yeah, there's no revives.
Yes. But he is susceptible to stun lock. Mm-hmm. All right. So, Luke's other dad, Vader, he is amazing with his rework, which is like over a year old at this point. So calling him a reworked character is a little bit silly, but it's like calling Mace reworked. Like, yes, he got reworked like 4 years ago, but it sucked.
I was before my time. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, someone told me. Actually, it was before my time too. In fact, so
okay.
Anyways, we've got Darth Vader. He kills things.
Yeah.
His merciless massacres. In fact, he's better almost in 5v5. He's almost better at soloing things.
Yep. Right? I would agree with that because he ends up getting more turns. And with him, the trick is you need to have him hit really, really hard because a lot of times he can kill something through his, or not something, he can kill an entire team just on his first round of Merciless Massacre. Like, he'll do this with Geos. Like, he will one-shot a Poggle on basic, just with the amount of damage that he's getting from Merciless Massacre. Fair warning, though, if you do not have a Relic 7 beta, or maybe you don't have the lead Zeta, or maybe you're missing something else, like you don't have 60 mods, and you can't kill everyone in the first Merciless Massacre, he has really no recourse for surviving after that.
Yeah, so one thing I like to do, every once in a while you'll meet someone who has Geos who are unwise enough to put Spy elsewhere. Excuse me. And Like he can survive that situation okay if he's got the lead Zeta,
Hmm.
because they'll just eventually, like, they'll just keep hurting themselves until he eventually gets it. I mean, if they have Poggle on the team though, then they'll ability block him to hell, and then you'll never get another turn. Yeah, there are some circumstances though where he can. I like the idea of him behind a really strong tank or something too. It's just, slowly strangling them to death with Force Crush.
And then you can really
Pretty
look to
iconic.
use him against a lot of the rebel teams that people are putting down. A lot of people are having to go against Jedi after Jedi Master Luke now, and Jedi Master Luke's great, but some of his requirements or some of Jedi Luke's requirements aren't, and Vader will absolutely shred those teams.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. All right, so those are the first five. Now we've got the less obvious ones,
The
guys.
fun ones.
Indeed, the fun ones. So, first on the slate. So again, this isn't necessarily a list of best, because there are going to be some who are maybe obviously better. But the first up is Luke's friend Han Solo. So we've got his dad and his other dad. Now his friend. We've got the Ando meme, the Han Solo, but it's actually better than you might think. In
Yeah,
fact.
the story behind the meme.
Right. So the idea, guys, I run a pretty quick Han Solo. He shrugs. Yeah. I like his I like his shrug on his character profile. This will actually open. Okay, so I run a 295 Han, which is
Oh
probably
wow,
egregiously fast, but
it's very very fast.
what happens is he gets his bonus shot at the start. He shoots first, but that's a bonus shot. It's nothing to do with turn meter. So if he outspeeds the rest of the team, he can immediately take another turn. Or the rest of the enemy team, he takes another turn. So he's already stunned someone. He can use his stun shot on someone else and stun them. And then he can use his basic on the last character who is unstunned to reduce their turn meter. So then he can maybe go again if he's fast enough, race or lap them again because everyone's stunned, and then he can do his shrug, or he can, he has just enough control in threes that it's plausible against a weak squad.
Oh yeah, no, he's. It's funny. The ability is like shoots first, but in reality, like you said, in the exact circumstances, he ends up shooting first 4 times, and you can do a whole lot of damage that way. Like you talked about stunning. Sometimes if the squad is weak enough, R7, R8 Han, he doesn't stun. He just kills them. Like they just die. They don't survive that.
I think technically they get stunned first, but you're
Okay,
right.
they stun and then they're dead stunned.
Yeah, yeah. They never come back from that. Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. He can just devastate people. Um, so next up is Luke's nephew,
We're just
OG
we're just going
Kylo.
all around the Luke school now.
I've apparently just latched onto that for some reason. I'm glad that we had
I like
Malak
it. It's
before
kind of a
Luke,
theme.
because yeah, I'm glad we had Malak before Luke, because like all I could imagine would be like Malak could be like Luke's nightmare. I don't know what the right word. Like
Yeah, no,
his
I
his
actually kind
school
of like
topic.
that. But anyways,
So all right, we've got OG Kylo here, and I love that his relic is a melted Vader mask. It's so
that is
awkward.
nice. I'm really a fan of any relic that isn't just the weapon in the character's hand. Like it's creative.
I agree. I kind of wanted the weapon because I wanted to know what to call it. I guess they just call it a lightsaber. I wanted a fancy name for it though.
There's got to be a name for that. That's another video though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
One day we'll do a top 10 costumes. All right.
or top
And
10 top 10 relics. That would be a good one.
oh yeah, top 10 uh iconic looking relics. Yeah. Like the orb of gore or whatever it is, the
All
ichor.
the Night Sisters are super cool. Like
Oh
they had to
yeah.
get creative with those. Like Spirit has like some type of ghost liquid or something like that. I don't know. I like those a lot.
We were getting kind of far afield here, but Kylo,
Yeah,
one of my favorite solos in the whole game. You use him, and I'm not saying he's a solo. He kind of is, but um, what I'm
that's
saying
true.
is you can solo the the Old Republic team if you ever get the opportunity to. And now that we have expanded divisions and expanded teams, we're gonna see it more. He actually he's one of those characters who gets better when he gets hurt.
Yeah, he is in a lot of ways kind of like a budget nest. He has both stacking defense and stacking offense worked into his kit. The more he gets hit, the only difference is his goes away after one turn. So his ceiling for the teams he can beat ends up being a lot lower. But you can get a lot out of him. Obviously, yeah, the card squad is just made for him to destroy. But there are other squads too. A lot of them that don't have a lot of DPS, but are going to get a lot of hits out. Because once Xylo ends up getting his turn, he's got the stacking offense for every time he was hit, and he just starts obliterating people.
Yeah, it's awesome. One team, and it's rare, but I've actually had the opportunity to at least advise people to use it a couple times. Is a Zam lead.
Oh yeah, that's great
because of all the grenades.
Yep.
He will, and in the same vein, Jawas will also just.
He's perfect for Jawas.
Yeah, like. He will solo a Relic 7 Jawa squad. He just will. People are like, seriously? Just him? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I got your promise now, not a scratch. And I'm like, would you get going, you pirate? It's actually very, it's very movie-esque. But yeah.
No, yeah, but he works right into what they do. Like they give out thermals, he takes the thermals, he gets the speed. It's a very for an old kit. It's a really good kit.
Yeah, it's you need his Zeta for this to work. By the way.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's good
really
to mention.
Most of these characters, in fact, I'll just say I don't think that there's a character so far that I would advise to leave it a Zeta off. Like, I think all of them want all of their Zetas. In fact. That's a bold claim, considering I can't think of all of them. But Vader.
I think maybe Jedi Knight Luke's unique is debatable, but the rest of them are pretty hardcore needed. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it without any of the others.
Absolutely. So, he kills things that debuff you well, but don't ability block him. Essentially. All right. Next up, second to last, but not necessarily the worst. Brood Alpha. Which is kind of a cheat, in fact, in terms of soloing teams, because he always comes prepared with a pocket brute. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what that even means.
No, it is true. I mean, you're soloing, but it's still a 2v3 match. And it's just a really cheap mechanic too. Like, here's, as you said, my pocket brute. You do whatever you want to him, and then you get rid of him, and he's just like, another. Like, he just throws another one out, and you have to deal with that now, too. So as long as, if your team doesn't have, or the enemy team doesn't have a lot of healing, he'll eventually just work him down and kill him.
Yeah. I mean, is it going to work on every team? No. And is it generally going to be better to take all three plus the brute? Yeah, I think so. But I think if you're pressed for banners, you can get a 56 with him, too, because he can heal on the last,
totally
stroke.
Can. Mm-hmm.
So he's good. He doesn't suck, at least. And then, no, this isn't actually. I lied. That wasn't the penultimate one. This is the penultimate one. Yeah. We have Wampa.
It was a penultimate.
Yes. Someone told me what the. I think there's an actual name for the penultimate, but the word isn't pen. Anyways, again, far afield. So, Wampa is the original. This one, man. I cried laughing one time. I laughed so hard. Oh, my gosh. Because someone... Because I told them in chat, I'm like, okay. They're like, look at this, Relic Phoenix. I'm going to use Wampa. Because Wampa is obviously there's this whole thing with the community that Wampa solos Phoenix. And...
Kind of.
And I'm like, okay, so he can... And afterwards, we looked it up, and he's like a 50% chance of soloing Phoenix. Like, that's what he's at. And so if they have a bad Zeb, a Zeb that can't stick days, then yeah, that can happen. Or if they, like...
Even Sabine kind of ruins this, too. Like, she gets the permanent armor shred on him, and then automatically that little TM gain he gets for not having a debuff is gone. Like, he just loses that entirely.
Right. And And she throws her thermals, and if she's got
Yep.
the Zeta, she sticks 5 of them because she's got 5 characters on her team. Like, it's a mess. So I about cried laughing. The guy's like, look, and I even have Relic 5 Wampa. I have all the Zetas. I'm just gonna go in, and he just got like it wasn't close.
No, yeah.
So I guess all I'm saying is you also need to know his kryptonite, which is daze or stun mechanics or
Hmm.
like a ton of exposes. Um, what is
No,
nice
yeah.
though, he can do well against like four-sided enemies because you miss or because you can't miss.
No, and well, you mentioned it, but one of the things you have to remember with almost all these characters, maybe with the exception of like Nest, Malak, and Jedi Luke, they most of them have to have a pretty good gear advantage to be able to take advantage of a solo. Like a Relic Wampa will easily solo a Gear 9, Gear 10 Phoenix. So this is not something you take at the same level. I mean, that goes for a lot of the counters we're talking about today.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like Old Republic at relics are a whole different animal and will literally rip your face off
Or
if
you
you
just
try to
you just
use
won't
Uber
ever kill
Kylo.
Zalbar. Like R7 Xylo will not get through R7 Zalbar.
Right. Yeah, it just not going to happen. So, yeah, you need the gear advantage, but Wampa can be if you're desperate, you need those extra banners. He can be your man. I like it. I like to have some support for him, frankly, but he can do it.
Again, he's one of those characters that you look at. Maybe someone's building up towards Jedi Master Luke, and they put down like a Gear 11 Wedge, Biggs, Princess Leia team or something like that. It's a perfect chance to use him.
Sure. I like. I think that my favorite one when you really want to roll the dice is going against a Mothma team
Ooh, no,
because
it depends a lot on the ads for that one.
well, sure. Some of them they'll just school him, but
Mm-hmm.
like as long as he's allowed to keep hitting him back, and as long as they're not doing quite enough damage to kill him, like it's just a matter of who can take the most pain for the longest because he does double damage to the rebels,
Yep.
and he can daze them, which it can temporarily set him back, and yeah, it's fun to watch that one because you don't know. It's just a lot of times you just roll the dice and I mean, typically I'd take the rebel fighters, frankly, but he can kind of hold his own there. It's fun. It's iconic too.
No, it
To
is.
look at.
It is pretty funny.
All right, and finally, the one we've been waiting for, Nihilus. I've actually done this a couple times way back in the day. He is a lot of fun, but you have some cool things to say about him. Let's listen to what Calvin has to say, folks. I'm apparently now talking to the audience suddenly.
It's okay. I appreciate the audience as well. Yeah, so Nihilus is when you first look at him, he doesn't really look that special. Doesn't necessarily look that tanky. He doesn't look like he's going to do that much damage. But you have to remember the context what we're heading into right now with the GAC expanding. A lot of people are going to have a tendency to go back to timeout teams. Again, timeout teams are teams that aren't good enough to kill something, but they can drag the battle out long enough. A good example is Clone Wars Chewie, Vandor, and L3, or GK with Barris, something of the sort. And Naya's what he'll just come in and he'll do is he won't die because his leadership constantly heals him every single time he hits someone and takes a turn. And then eventually he'll get an annihilate. And so these anti-revive mechanics with Vandor or whoever, they suddenly mean nothing. And you just end up annihilating the whole team within like 2 minutes for 56 banners. And the team that they were hoping to hold their back wall just gave you free banners. He's a really, really great character for these teams that have like no damage.
Right, and that's just it. They can't if they have an exposed mechanic. You probably need to
Ooh,
look
no, yeah.
elsewhere. So again, you need to know mechanics to be able to do this, but he can be a super satisfying one. And the cool thing is, as long as if he wins, he essentially guaranteed a 56.
Yep, that's really nice.
Because the protection it just isn't there to hold you back, and you automatically get those points. So, that being said, pretty rare that you're going to use him. Sometimes though, like you say, Calvin, and he's got a full cape, so that's good.
He's
That's
Nihilus is the full package, full mask, full cape.
He's the whole thing. Anyways, guys, this is our top 10. I would love to hear from the comments what you guys think. Who did we miss? And don't say Galactic Legends. They're boring. They're top 10, obviously. Like, this is really like it's so awkward to say. You can't really say the top 5 through 14th. You know,
You
it
could, but you
just doesn't roll off
shouldn't.
the right. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Exactly. So,
Exactly.
anyways, that's it, folks. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Go follow Calvin on Twitch. He plays all of his matches on GAC live, so you can watch a guy literally get top 10. You watch every step of the way. You can follow him on YouTube. He's got a lot of great things to say about Grand Arena. Yeah, gonna be good. So, anything else you need to say, Calvin? Want to say?
No, yeah, I mean we said it all in this in the video. Again, thanks for having me here. And I don't know if you're gonna end it right now, but I have to say it. Stay awesome.
Indeed. And remember that in all things, Zareth stays awesome.
There it is.
All right, guys. See ya.